Hello, this is Murry and Tiffany Guy, and on this episode of Real Relationships, we're going to talk to you about special needs. Our wonderful family of 5, we have 3 kids, Katie and Robbie and Landon, and our youngest son, Landon, has moderately to severe autism, and we're hoping in this segment we can talk to you about how you can have a real relationship, a godly relationship involving a special needs situation or family. It's not everything's perfect, and sometimes we feel like we fail every day. And but through that, we can find God's love and God's direction in it all. Tiffany, why don't you start talking about how we discovered that we had a special needs situation and our testimony and working through all that?
Sure. We kind of suspected Landon had something going on before we actually got the diagnosis. He is 7 right now, and we got the diagnosis of autism when he was 3. He was kind of a fussy baby, just didn't really interact with us the way our other 2 children did, and we kind of thought there was something wrong, and we got diagnosed, and we were told to get as much help as far as therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, and just educational help that we possibly could get. So we decided to move to Auburn. They have really good special needs program in their school system. And so when he was in preschool, we were able to start him out on the right track. And also Murray worked in Auburn. So we sold our house, moved to Auburn, and got him started on that journey. And it is definitely a journey. We make some progress. We take a few steps forward, go a few steps back.
That's a good way to put it.
God is faithful, and
Yes.
He helps us every day. And we've had some opportunities we've gotten some encouragement from others, and we've been able to give encouragement to others. And God has a plan even when we can't see what's happening.
Sometimes and some of you out there may know someone, or you yourself have special needs, and it doesn't have to be autism, or it may be a struggle that you have that's physical ailment that you can understand. A lot of times, like Tiffany said, it's a 2 steps forward, 1 step back situation, and sometimes we feel like we're just trying to stay afloat. It's very consuming. I like to feel like it's like a Bermuda Triangle. Sometimes you get stuck in that area and it just sucks you in, and you feel like all you can do is deal with that second or that minute, and can't really do anything else, whether for God or whether it be something that you just want to do, because it's you're having to. We joke about we have 5 children here, but we have 3. Landon counts as 3 himself. So we have Katie, Robbie, Landon, and Landon. But like Tiffany had mentioned, there have been many opportunities, and Tiffany, you want to get Deuteronomy 6:5-7. There have been many opportunities where we haven't been looking for them, but God presents them in different ways. And why don't you go ahead and read that?
Okay, Deuteronomy 6:5-7 says, "And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up."
And that's a good scripture to read. And sometimes we need that ourselves to understand that we need God to help us and know that our steps are ordered of the Lord, and that we can continue. And then God will bring opportunities across our way where we just think, we're so consumed with just dealing with our situation. But we've had many opportunities, and one, I'll not mention names, but a lovely family member had run across someone who was in an odd circumstance,
Right.
Just at wit's end. She had just discovered that her child had autism, and the spouse, her husband, didn't know how to deal with it. And not that she didn't either, but it was just like, what do we do? And they were just lost. And my aunt, you know who you are, Aunt, said, well, I happen to know someone who is in a similar situation as you. And she asked me if I would take this call from this lady, and we'd reached out to her. And this is just one of many examples. And I talked her through things, and I told her, you know, that your church is going to be a humongous help, and other things that you can do. And I prayed for her, and just gave her encouragement of that. And also told her about how that having a autistic child is not a death sentence, even though sometimes it feels like you're in prison, but you're not. And that there's so many things you can do. It's just a different way of looking at it. And just as far as, this was a situation where we ministered to a person because somebody knew of us, but we've had things go the other way around, haven't we, babe? Where God has put people in our lives to minister us.
Right. When we first moved, I forgot to tell the story earlier, but when we first moved to the new neighborhood, I was talking to some neighbors, and they said, you know, you really need to meet this family. They have a son who has autism, and he's much older, but they've gone through the same things that y'all are going through right now. And I said, okay. And I kind of knew who the family was. And one day I was walking, pushing Landon in his stroller. He loves to do that. And I ran across this lady, and I pretty much just walked up to her and said, hey, are you so-and-so? I think I heard about you from a neighbor, you know. And she said, yes, I am. And I said, does your son have autism? And she said, yes. And this family has been such an encouragement to us. And it was like, well, God, you had that planned. You knew what you were doing all along. And then, you know, it's such a God thing. And then God's brought people like Murry was telling in our lives. And we're like, look, we don't have all the answers. We don't know, but God knows. And, you know, we like to, it makes us, it just helps us to feel the purpose in it when we're able to encourage other people.
Yes. And I'd like to maybe end this episode of Real Relationships with reading the scripture. It's Psalms 37, 23 through 24. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord and woman, and delighteth in his way. Though he or she falls, he shall not be utterly cast down. For the Lord upholdeth him or her with his hand. So if anybody's out there dealing with a special needs child or a circumstance that seems all-consuming and debilitating in ways, know that your steps, if you're following the Lord, if you're doing your best, and you are a child of God, that your steps are for the Lord. He knows what you're going through. And not only is he going to help you, he's going to take you to places to help other people. And I hope and pray this encourages you today.